For many years, Otto von Bismarck's skilled diplomacy had balanced the various interests and ambitions of the European empires. But then, a new emperor ascended to the German throne, and all was about to change. Eventually, two alliances formed among the great powers, the Triple Entente of Russia, Great Britain and France, facing the Central Powers of Germany and Austria-Hungary. The Kaiser's newly constructed fleet was set to threaten Britain's naval supremacy, the cornerstone of the world's largest empire. With old powers weakening, ascendant powers looking for their place in the sun, and local conflicts, which had been bottled up by imperial might, coming to the surface, it was just a matter of time until a small trigger set off the powder keg, and suddenly it would be easier to be at war than not to. The assassination of Austria-Hungary's imperial heir in Sarajevo by a radical extremist was to be that trigger, and soon, like dominoes, the world's great powers were marching against each other on the battlefields of Europe and beyond. Germany, honoring their alliance with Austria-Hungary, declared war on France and Russia, and, attacking through neutral Belgium as part of the Schlieffen Plan, got the United Kingdom involved. They'd face a war at two fronts, against three great powers, an almost impossible task. In 1914, after initial maneuvers hadn't brought the decisive victories the High Command had hoped for, and Germany failed to knock out France quickly, the war ground to a halt, and troops dug in along the Western Front. Germany lost most of her African colonies to Allied forces and their Asian positions to Japan. The declining Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers, hoping for a revival of their strength. 1915 brought a reversal of fortunes at the Eastern Front. After initial gains, the Russian Empire was being pushed back further and further. Meanwhile, the British used their strategic naval position to strangle German trade. With the Kaiserliche Marine not powerful enough to challenge the Grand Fleet to a decisive battle in the North Sea, the only recourse was to inflict the same economic hardship to the British: unrestricted submarine warfare in the Atlantic. No longer having to risk their ships to identify targets before the attack, German submarines achieved success, but at the price of threatening another power to come to the Entente's aid, the United States of America. 1916 saw the clash of steel giants at Jutland, but despite inflicting disproportionate losses to the British, the Germans failed to decisively weaken the naval stranglehold on the starving nation. On land, Verdun marked the beginning of a war of pure attrition. In the Somme, tanks started showing up on the battlefield. In 1917, the Russian Civil War saw the end of the monarchy, and this breakdown of order on the Eastern Front gave much-needed relief to the embattled German forces. Despite the lack of a decisive victory in Jutland and trade warfare with submarines being the only chance to significantly bringing the war to the British home isles, the Kaiser was persuaded not to restart unrestricted submarine warfare. While effective, the risk of bringing the Americans into the war on the Allied side at this critical moment was deemed too great. In 1918, it became clear that the war-inflicted suffering of the population was reaching breaking point. Large protests erupted, and socialist ideology gained track among the masses. After the collapse of the monarchy in Russia, the Central Powers intervened on the side of the Whites and eventually pushed the Bolsheviks to a peace with massive concessions, giving Germany much-needed access to Ukrainian grain. However, the unity of the Central Powers crumbled. An embarrassing affair of Austria-Hungary quietly seeking a separate peace with the Allies, and Ottoman brinkmanship in the Caucasus led to Germany increasingly standing alone. A large-scale German offensive on the Western Front led to territorial gains after years of static slaughter, but was stopped within sight of Paris by desperate Allied counterattacks against overstretched supply lines. French losses were so severe that they led to widespread mutinies. In Germany, hardship, discontent, and emerging socialist ideology triggered mass protests, which were eventually violently suppressed. In the wake of the unrest, some democratic reforms were initiated by the Kaiser. 1919 finally saw the conclusion of the Austrian offensive against Italy, and the latter capitulated and quickly disintegrated into chaos and civil war. On the Western Front, all sides were exhausted. Both German and Allied offensive attempts suffered from low morale, with Germany taking a more defensive approach to reduce losses, cautioned by the unrest of the previous year. Allied assaults failed with massive casualties, not being able to utilize their more modern tanks in the face of whole infantry units refusing to attack. With socialists rebelling against the war in France and Great Britain facing uprisings in their colonies, the warring parties agreed to an armistice, and eventually the Treaty of Versailles was signed, under great pressure on the reluctant French, both foreign and domestic, who had to give up vast colonial territories. The treaty allowed Great Britain to save face and sell it as an honorable peace at home. The victory came at a high price. Millions died on the battlefields, and the Central Powers alliance broke apart soon after, with both Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire claiming betrayal in the face of German realpolitik. In the years after the war, both France and eventually also Great Britain, once the world's largest empire, fell to socialist and trade unionist revolutions, leaving Germany as the single remaining superpower, controlling a vast network of colonial possessions and alliances, both economic and military, reaching from Flanders, Wallonia in the west to Indochina in the far east. Yet, years after the World War, Germany is still surrounded by threats. The Socialist Crescent, from Great Britain across France to Italy, with their aggressive, subversive ideology, the varying interests of squabbling member states, and the constant threat of fractures and rise of extremists and separatists in the East, not to mention the United States reeling from the economic disaster of the Great Depression, and the disgruntled remains of the old Entente, home of the exiled governments of the last war. The World War may be over, but the world is far from being at peace. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new series. This is the Kaiserreich mod, and as you may have gleaned from the intro, this is a bit of an alternate history in which Germany has actually won the First World War, because the Americans haven't actually joined. But it was a bit of a Pyrrhic victory, because lots of losses, lots of difficulties, and the world is anything but stable. So, if you're new around here, welcome. I have never played this mod. I have played Hearts of Iron 4, but I have never played this mod. This is not going to be a quick series. I am not going to be highly editing this, and I definitely have no idea what I'm doing. Kaiserreich is extremely heavy on lore, and I think in order to fully savor what this mod has to offer, we'll be going through the lore. So there will be a lot of reading, both for myself, because I literally don't know what's going on, and for your benefit, in case you don't know either. So it's going to be a slow burn, and we will see where we're going with this, but sit down, relax, grab a beer or a beverage of your choice, and yeah, let's get through this together. And in the spirit of what I just said, I am actually going to go through the intro section here, because I think that probably summarizes pretty well what I was just kind of editing together myself. So if you're aware of this or you don't want to hear the lore, then feel free to skip ahead. The place in the sun, a famous expression from Wilhelm II, the German Kaiser. For the past 17 years, the German Empire has enjoyed its rightful place in the sun that was promised by Reichskanzler Bernhard von Bülow. Defeating the Entente in the Weltkrieg, seizing a worldwide colonial empire, and earning a flock of satellites in Central Europe, it established itself as the preeminent economic, diplomatic, cultural, and military power in Europe, if not the entire planet. From literature to finance, the German language is growing to a new lingua franca, while the word of the Foreign Secretary in Berlin can make entire countries bow, from petty dictatorships in the Americas to warlords on the coast of the Yellow Sea. The end of the Weltkrieg saw the final victory of the parliamentarization process, which began during the war. The Kaiser and the Reichstag prevailed over Ludendorff's ambitions and promulgated the March reforms to the Bismarckian constitution, ushering in greater power to the legislature and partial parliamentary control of the Reichskanzler. The two following decades have been marked by a consensus of middle-class liberals, Catholics, and moderate conservatives, and has seen a string of Reichskanzlers seeking to maintain the achievements of the March Constitution. Times are changing, however, and this consensus will not last. A few months ago, the March coalition between the LVP and Zentrum, we're going to get into the politics of this, collapsed, and a fallen government now sits in Berlin. New elections to the Reichstag approach in April, and it's becoming increasingly clear that initiative in the parliament will be held not by the liberals or Catholics, but by the socialists in the SPD, or possibly even the hardline conservative bloc of DKP and DVLP. The aging Kaiser and his crown prince search for alternate solutions to the deadlock, however, even if it means a death blow to the empire's democracy. When even the sentinel of the New World Order wavers, uncertain of its future, what can the rest of the world do but worry for what's to come? Yes, indeed. So, let us take a look around. So, in this episode, we're just going to take stock of the situation and see where this is going. As you might have just noticed from the intro, we are heavy on the politics. I have read up on the lore as much as I could in order to, at least have some idea what I can be telling about. And we've got a wide variety of parties that are part of the parliament. One key element of the March Constitution that was mentioned is that a parliamentary majority can actually kick the chancellor out by vote of no confidence. So while Wilhelm II here, the Kaiser, the emperor, is the one deciding who becomes chancellor, effectively, if he decides on somebody that the parliament doesn't support, he may as well not bother. So who do we have in the parliament? Well, we've got a lot of parties. We have and I'm going to switch to the German names from time to time here, just because it sounds better. But you can read the English translations here. So we've got the Bund der Kommunisten. These are communists, as in proper communists. We've got the Kommunistische Arbeiterpartei Deutschlands. And that is the Essen tendency. And then we have the Kommunistische Arbeiterpartei of the Berlin tendency. So they already had a schism. So these are proper left-wing communists. We got the Sozialdemokraten, Sozialdemokratische Partei Deutschlands, or Social Democratic Party, the SPD. We've got the Liberale Volkspartei, an LVP. these are SPD is still left. LVP is probably somewhat left liberal. We've got the Wirtschaftspartei, or the Economic Party. We have the March coalition under Chancellor von Dirksen, who is, well, not having the support anymore. And then we've got the right wing. We've got the Deutsch Konservative Partei. We've got the Farmers' Wing, and we've got the Deutsche Vaterlandspartei, and that is about as bad as it sounds. Yeah, the color gives you pretty much all indication that you need what these guys are all about. Right. What else do we have to deal with as Germany? We have the discontent about the March reforms, because a lot of the parties are actually in opposition, so they're not part of the government coalition. So the far right and the far left are in opposition, and they are pretty unhappy with the whole situation. The current leading coalition around the conservative center is not longer able to have a majority in government, which means that the whole thing is getting a little tricky. This also means 75% reduced power gain and a 0.5% weekly stability debuff. I mean, we got 100% stability, but that's not going to last if we've got that running. We've also got the Victors of the Weltkrieg spirit, which effectively means that since we won, everybody thinks we are, well, German technology and army is undefeatable. So why improve it? Which means nobody brings any new ideas around. We have the Deutsches Weltreich, or German World Empire, which gives us, which means everybody wants to trade with us, because you can literally not trade without Germany. We have interesting market developments. So the Great Depression happened in the US over yonder, and they are reeling from the problems of the Great Depression. But since Germany was sort of the center of the world, it wasn't like a worldwide market collapse. However, we are seeing some very interesting speculative investments happening here. And again, this is a blind run, so I don't know what's going to happen. But looking at this, it gives us 25% construction speed and minus 30% consumer goods. That sounds too good to be true, and the picture is a bit of a market on fire. So there's a bubble forming, and that might not be a good sign in the long run. We have the legation cities, so that's in China, where we're effectively enforcing the old imperial. You have to let the Western powers in and let them trade, sort of thing. And we've done a lot of investments in China, which gives us a couple of nice economic bonuses here. And we are a member of the Mitteleuropa Economic Union, which is a new feature that has something to do with Kaiserreich. I have no idea how it works. I've seen a button over here, but it doesn't do anything. It says it will become active in 1937, so I guess in the first year we're not going to see an awful lot of that. Other than that, it's a pretty standard starting setup, I would say. If we're looking at the national focuses, yeah. Although this is, I think, is having some exclusive trees in it, so it's not as scary as it looks. Just from a quick glance around, I think there are some trees here. The whole bottom thing here is a post-war tree, so there's still things we can do after the inevitable conflict that's coming. And then we've got a sort of I think this is a naval. No, actually, where was that? There was a naval tree somewhere here, I think. This is all political. This is all internal politics, and there's some foreign politics in here as well, plus economics, and there is some military reform down here, and that's a whole branch of itself. Oh yeah, that's where I think the whole naval system went as well. Yeah, there's a naval plan and things, and then we've got the whole post-war branch. So while this looks a lot, we're not going to have to deal with everything at once. Again, I am very much not familiar with this, so we will deal with that as we go. But yeah, let's have a quick look. We see that we are part of the Reichspakt. So let's have a quick look at the factions. So Reichspakt is effectively our faction. It is Germany. We've got the Belgians in there, which I presume is Poland here. And then we've got Ukraine, some form of Belarus, and all the way, including Finland as well. And then we do have more Central African colonies in the Reichspakt, and we have some East Asian. So we are controlling Singapore, the Northern Borneo, and what is going to be Vietnam at some point. So that's what we are pretty much controlling. Then there is the Third International. That's the trade unionists. So these aren't communists. These are in a centralized governmental things. These are more anarcho-communists. So effectively, they organize everything around trade unions and build up from there on. So that's Great Britain and France. And I thought that some of the Italians were in that as well, but I might have been wrong. So maybe that's still coming. There's remnants of the old Entente, so that's the old monarchists. It's mostly the old British, the remnants of the British Empire. We've got the Canadians, there is Australia, New Zealand, and a little bit of the old Raj is left here in the Entente, as well as the legacy French, which have escaped to North Africa and running things from there. Oh yeah, and we are controlling Morocco as well, by the way, by the looks of it. So the big threat, obviously strategically, at first glance, appears to be, the Russian Republic is somewhat democratic, but there's a lot of instability in them. Obviously these guys, with their world revolution thing going on, are a threat. Austria-Hungary is doing its own thing. So are the Ottomans. So we're no longer having the central powers here. And United States are probably busy for now with economic problems, and Asia has mostly completely fallen apart. So China is fragmented into various warlording territories. There is, however, the Empire of Japan, who we were at war with in the First World War, and who is still around. So still controlling Korea, and might have some revanchist ideas on trying to, because we haven't really fought an awful lot with them. All right. So what do we have? Another thing that I need to mention. This is the latest version of Hearts of Iron 4 as time of this recording. Which means that there's a lot of new mechanics around that I'm not familiar with. There's the international market. I've never played this before. And we have the military industrial organizations, which appear to have replaced the old like industrial concerns, the equipment designers. Yeah, like these things, like the tank designers. So they're still there, but they're way more complicated now. So you can apparently pick different tank designers which apply to different kinds of tanks and which have their own little upgrade trees. So this is all very fascinating, and I'm going to have to figure out how that all works as we go, because I have no idea. So that's new, and I think, the special forces now actually have their own doctrine trees. So I have no idea how that works either. In general, like I said, I have no clue. We're going to go through this at a slow pace while we are catching up with everything that's happening in the world and all the lore. And my goal, I would say, for now, and this might change as the story evolves, but my goal, just looking at this, would be to sort of unify this and stabilize this, because it sounds like we might probably have to fight another war in Europe, so we might end up occupying continental Europe here, turning Italy around, making sure that that we get the socialism out of here, and potentially deal with Russia, and maybe we can unify some of the territories here rather than having them their own little squabbling kingdoms, which are all part of the wider alliance, but potentially unreliable. The other thing that I've noticed is that Middle Africa is a colony, the same way that German East Asia is a colony. So I don't directly control these guys. These are all these are all subjects. So we've got Flanders, Wallonia, we've got the Kingdom of Finland, we've got Middle Africa, Poland, Baltic Duchy, Lithuania, Ukrainian state, Ruthenia, which is probably Belarus, German East Asia, and Morocco. And these are puppets or colonial governments of various types that if we play with the autonomy mechanisms, we can eventually subjugate them. And there's a pretty good reason for doing that, because I had a quick look at the fleet. And we do have, but a fleet appears to be mostly concentrated in the North Sea. Whereas if we are looking at that's Africa, and that's over here. So where's the rest of my fleet? There might be a fair amount of fleet, and there it is. There's a big fleet over in Singapore. So now we got to go back to the lore. German East Asia is actually effectively a country under control of the Kaiserliche Marine. So they actually have the more modern fleet over here as a deterrent against the Empire of Japan acting up. And they've got a fair amount of liberty with how they are designing and setting that up. So they've got all the good ships. And I'm sitting here with a First World War fleet in the North Sea, effectively having to deal with the British or anything else. Which means that I'd be very keen to, reduce the liberty that these kind of far colonies are taking, and getting certain things under my direct control. Effectively make the Kaiser great again. That's what I'm aiming for. Anyhow, what's our decision tree looking like? Okay, we've got not an awful lot here. We've got the influence over in China. There doesn't appear to be an awful lot we can do about it. And we've got a couple of things we can do with Poland, where we have economic influence as well. But so do the Austrians. So there might be political squabbling around here. The very reduced size Poland, in terms of them us maintaining good relations with them. All right. What else do we have to look at? Let's look at our technology. So what do we have? We've got a couple of tank designs, but these two are interwar designs. So we have a Panzerkampfwagen 2, and that is a medium tank, okay? Medium tank with a small cannon on it. Nothing special. Very basic interwar tank here. We've got the Heerpanzerwagen 2, or Army tank number 2. That appears to be that's a close support gun, and we've got heavy machine guns on that thing plus radius. That's a basic infantry tank basically. Heavy on the soft attack, and it's a basic heavy tank. And we've got the I'm not sure what the SP is meant to be. Is it Spähpanzer, as in scout tank, maybe? Panzer 1 Ausführung A, basic light tank. That thing has heavy machine gun. Yeah, this is a scout tank. And single man turret, heavy machine gun. That's basically a pretty useless scout tank. So not the greatest technology here. We've got a couple of airplane designs. We've got a Fieseler 167 naval bomber. That's probably useful. Can work with that. That's not a terrible design. We've got a Junkers 87 close air support, which appears to have dive brakes on it and bomb locks. So that thing is sort of hybrid, can be used against ships. Not particularly happy with it. We've got the Bf 109, and that is a decent starting fighter, I would say. So which airframe is that? That's the basic airframe, so that's not the interwars. And we've got a Heinkel 111 medium bomber. That looks relatively reasonable as well for a tactical. Then we've got the old Dornier 17. That is a... yeah, that's a pretty terrible design. And we've got the Junkers U-52 transport planes, obviously. So I would say the Bf-109 is probably what we're going to be mostly focusing on. The rest, I'm going to decommission the Junkers 87 and the Dornier, and probably keep the Heinkels, the Fieseler, and the Messerschmitts around. That looks relatively decent, and then we're going to have to sort out the production lines. In the Navy, what do we have? We have the Graf Zeppelin class, of which I believe we have none, if I'm not mistaken, because I think they're all over in Singapore. But we'll have to check what we actually have in the Navy. So we have the Graf Zeppelin class of aircraft carrier, which is a little outdated. That's normal at the beginning. These are usually interwar models, and we can eventually upgrade these. We have a couple of battleship designs that are not outdated. We've got the Elsass class, which is a dreadnought hull. This is dreadnoughts are the super battleships here. So this is the really big one. So this one has 46 centimeter SKL 45. So the 460 millimeter guns. Not the greatest design, but if we have one or two of those, that'd be great. We've got the Tirpitz class of battleships battleships. The armor is probably outdated. Yes, we have we have better armor as it is, and 2 main gun turrets is a little low for my taste, but again, standard starting design. We also have the Scharnhorst class, which looks relatively similar. Okay, so these are our 2 battleship classes here. We still have the Prinz Heinrich class, which is more of an old armored cruiser, really, with 380 millimeter guns. That's a battle cruiser design. And we have the Admiral Scheer class of armored cruiser. Okay, that thing's got 420 mils, but only a single gun turret on this thing. Not a particularly great design, and as it is counting as a cruiser, so this is counting as a heavy cruiser, I would assume. And we've got the Admiral Hipper class of heavy cruiser, which looks a little bit more decent. Would have liked another gun turret on this instead of the torpedoes, but workable start. How about light cruisers? We've got the Strasbourg class. That's about it. This is probably a bit of a mess. Yeah, this is your typical light cruiser mess. 2 gun turrets and a torpedo launcher. It's not dreadful. Probably the custom slot, I would rather have more guns rather than more AA, but that's something we can fix. We've got the Zerstörer 1934 destroyer design, and yes, this is a mixed bag. Single gun, double torpedoes, 1 depth charge. So just kind of your standard all-rounder torpedo boat destroyer. And we've got the Type 7 submarine, which is crap. So this is something we need to fix. We can significantly improve that by making that Type 7A. Okay, so we know what we can. We know what we can build. And we do probably have a decent amount of factories. Yeah, we've got 29 military factories. That is not terrible, and we've got 76 civilian factories, which is a good start. And we have 12 dockyards, which is not enough if we want to play the naval game. Do we need to play the naval game? Good question. I don't know. But given that we are the world's remaining superpower, yes, I would strongly assume that we have to. And unless we can convince the Kaiserliche Marine to get back under direct control of the of the naval office and not actually doing their own thing in Singapore here, then that fleet I would very much like to have, but I will have to make do with the relatively wild mix of light forces and some heavy ships, some aging heavy ships that I have here in the North Sea. Air Force, what do we got? I got a couple of air wings here. We've got tactical bomber wings. We've got a couple of fighter wings. Everything's outdated, obviously. And yeah, I think I will probably just disband these, and because none of them has any experience. So I'll just disband those and create some full-sized wings. A big problem that we're probably going to have is that the any kind of exercise is going to be not giving us much experience, because the victors of the Weltkrieg focus is, or national spirit is going to reduce that by 75%. So even if we could get everything to exercise, we're not going to get any XP, which means we can't improve our designs, which brings us to the templates. Infantry Division, what does that look like? Okay, and that's a 9 with, so it's a 9 battalion infantry division with an artillery support and an engineer company. I like that. That is a good start. I can work with that. It's not having the greatest attack, but it's a decent division. We've got the Motorisierte Division, motorized division, which is the same, just minus the support companies. At 9 with motorized. We've got a cavalry division, which is probably going to be on resistance suppression and garrison duty. We've got the Auslandsfestungskommando, which is a 12 with just kind of port guard division. Okay, we can work with that. Marine Sturmdivision, that is too small, 12 with Marines, but something we can expand on. We've got the Gebirgsjäger, again too small, but something we can build up from. And we've got the Panzer Division, and yeah, as expected, that is terrible. So we've got 3 mediums, 3 lights, 3 trucks, and motorized recon. That is not a fun division. Total armor 16. So this can't even defend itself against its own weapons, and these things aren't particularly well armed. So that is not a great division at all. And this is new to me. We cannot use the last slots here just yet. Okay, this is all stuff I'm going to learn as I'm going. So terrible tank division as expected. The big problem is going to be that we're not going to be able to get an awful lot of XP off the bat unless we can get ourselves some advisors and build XP that way. So that's probably a good start. So let's get our technology working. Standard stuff. So we've got four slots. I don't know if we can get a fifth. I'm gonna have to take a look at the focus tree, but we're gonna do the standard 3, and then we can see what we do next. We have tanks. We have trucks researched. We're sort of up to date with the 1936 rifles. Nothing great here. Our tank research is behind the time. We haven't done the 1936 light, so that might be something we could do. We've got Flak, we've got the PAX, the Panzerabwehrkanone, so anti-tank. So that's all up to date. We have all the hulls researched except for the cruiser sub. And there's nothing here, nothing really here for us to do except for the sonar tech. We probably don't need just yet. I thought I've seen. Oh, this is the improved catapult, and yes, we've got the armored cruiser researched, and we have the dreadnought hull researched, which is the super heavy. So. Oh, we'll see what we do there. Relatively decent amount of research everywhere. Air, yes, they have actually made some changes here, I think. So the heavy machine guns are now, what is this, 1939 tech. So we're not going to get these off the bat. And the cannons are, yeah, cannons also 1939 tech. So this is way ahead of time. We've got armor-piercing bomb racks, which is for anti-ship dive bombers. Generally, torpedoes more effective, but I might have to take a look at it. We've got regular bombs researched, which allows us to do the bomb racks. We're not having the large airframes. We're given that... Well, we would usually be fighting in Europe, but do we need to do strategic bombing for that? I am not so sure yet. Maybe. But I think for now, from all of what I've seen, we've done the industry, I've done the engineerings, and I don't think I necessarily need... I don't necessarily need any air tech just yet, because I'm mostly going to be producing fighters for this point, at this point I think anyway. Nothing really I need in the ship tech at this point, so maybe we'll do the 1936 Light, because that gives us an opportunity to use the military-industrial organization. Now, I have read as to what these are for, but I haven't really actually used any of them, so let's figure that out. So we've got 3 tank designers. We've got Henschel, which is a fast tank designer, which means that this is applicable to all tanks. Yeah, this is a general. This is applicable to all tanks. So reduced armor, reduced liability, but they're faster. Okay, but then if we use that, it builds up experience or investment from using it, research investment, and we can get some upgrades here. So we can get our reliability back. We can get our defense. We can't get our armor back, can we? Can bit of breakthrough. So they're both bonuses to the actual quality of the equipment and to the production of it. So that is quite interesting. But we've got Krupp, which gives us less speed but more armor, or Benz, which gives us less armor, less defense, but reduced production cost. It's all not great, really. I mean, for an improved light tank chassis, probably the fast tank designer is the better choice here. Now, I do want to concentrate. The industrial organizations in the usage, because I can also use them on the production lines, and for that it would be good to just use the same everywhere. But infantry tank or fast tank? +5 armor. I really don't like the 5 armor, 5 reliability debuff. That is quite annoying. But okay, we'll go with that for the light tanks for now. So light tanks are sort of early game. But yeah, I have no idea, honestly. We'll see if we can build some good light tanks for the early game. I don't know how quickly we are going to get ourselves into a war. Alternatively, can I still? I still research that. So okay, we'll do it. This is going to cost us 0.1 political power. So we've still got some left, so that's all good. It also increases the research speed, so we're doing that one. And then I think in the there's only one we can do, which is Master of the World, which gives us the Weltpolitik spirit, which allows us to, well, basically, intervene if there are bad things happening. All right, next up, construction. What can we build? Couple of civs maybe, just to get things going. We can probably build a bit of infrastructure as well. It might not be a terrible thing, just to trade it. Let's build a couple of civilian factories in Brandenburg. I definitely want more dockyards if I can. I don't actually have an awful lot of territory in which I can do the north coast here. So let's put another 4 dockyards out in Mecklenburg, and another 3 dockyards out up here, and then we might actually start throwing some infantry out. Fuel might be an issue, so we'll have to see how that goes. And yeah, well, what are we short of? We're short of tungsten and chromium, to nobody's great surprise. So do we have any of that? Can we throw infrastructure down somewhere? Yes, we can get ourselves one more here. And this is, I have to be careful because some of this I don't actually control, as in not directly, but they're puppets. The building in their areas will reduce their autonomy, which is good on the long run, but this is not the immediate goal. The immediate goal would be, other than that, we've got a lot of stuff. Maybe get me a bit more oil. That would be a good idea. And that gives us something to do for the beginning. Okay, we've got 400,000 manpower. We haven't had a look at our armies just yet. So let's put everything into an army group. What do we? Oh, these are actually fully equipped. Well, that's new. So we've got a lot of infantry divisions. We've got 2 tank divisions. So let's throw these into a separate army group. And then we've got a couple of motorized, so they can join there as well. And then we've got a couple of special forces divisions that can go into their own army. There we go. And then we probably split that up. We can throw the cavalry in with the tanks. There we go. Now we've got 60, so we can can split that into 3 armies, I guess. So let's just half it for now. 2930. And then we'll just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into a new one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Okay, that's 1 army group. And we can put them all in there. 2 regular infantry armies. We've got the we've got a 2.5 regular infantry armies. We've got some armored divisions, and we've got some special forces. All right, let's assign some generals. Let's see who we got. Erich von Marnstein, tank officer, trickster, engineer, brilliant strategist. Okay, that sounds like somebody I am going to assign here. Okay, you get von Marnstein. What else do we got? Infantry. We've got Model, who's a harsh leader, trickster, cautious, connected, and a brilliant strategist. Yeah, I mean we can involve him. Although he's got some traits that I'm not particularly fond of. The harsh leader one, the cautious one can be quite politically connected is not that great either. So his stats are good, but his traits are not that great. Maybe we'll get somebody who's a bit. That's another armor officer. Oh, we've got 2 skilled staffers here. Oh, that's nice. And one of them is an infantry leader. That is interesting. He's a cavalry leader. He is a winter and a commando. Okay, so he gets the special forces. So you are getting Nikolaus von Falkenhorst. And that means we can. Okay, that means we can probably just. What we can do here is that, and then actually get von Kluge to run. Not von Kluge, that was the wrong one. Where's my? There was a. I did have a skilled staffer around here somewhere. No, von Witzleben. Yeah, you can run that one, and the other one was von Leeb, who's an infantry officer, so that works pretty well. And then we can add a field marshal. What do we have? Von Rundstedt, who's... Wait, what? He's got both the offensive and the defensive doctrine. Okay, that's awesome. Yes, please. He's defensive, political connected strategist. He's an artillery leader. That's something I haven't seen around. And he's a trickster. Von Rundstedt, yes, please. Because that's awesome. Now I can't give anybody anything because they have because I have no command power just yet. And we will just probably just unify the whole. There might be a better way of doing this. Can I just combine the 2? No. Okay, let's get not these 3. But everything that's in the that's in the North Sea, let's get that all combined for now, and then I can sort that out and we've got a bit of East Africa squadron here, and then we can sort that out. We'll have to see what we actually have in there after, but I think it's mostly the older World War I fleet that we've got in the high seas here. All right, production, last thing we're going to be looking at today, and then I'm going to end the episode because it's already been going on for a while. What do we have? We are producing rifles, which is good. I probably want 5 on RT and 5 on support equipment. So here's another thing, and I have no idea if this is the right thing to do. I can actually assign the military industrial organization, and it doesn't cost me any political power to do so. So I don't see a reason not to. Now this is giving me +3 soft attack. No, sorry, this is only on the production line. If I use them for research, it gives me plus soft attack. And this one as well, so this is the exact same. These two are the exact same, and this one gives me nothing. What does this give me? No equipment bonuses. A research bonus, that's it. Okay, 10% research bonus. These ones give me these as well. And this one gives me actually bonuses for infantry equipment. So this one doesn't give me... No. But I can probably unlock some of them down the road. Research, funds gain. This is all production. Piercing. Okay, this can give me piercing, hard attack. Interesting. Breakthrough, soft attack, and defense. Whereas Walter, yeah, I'm not going to look through every single item here. I'm just going to pick one and go with it. We're going to get Mauser to build the Mauser carbiner. That makes more sense. The 105mm artillery, there's not much of a choice here, so we're just going to get them to do that. Support equipment, same here. Support equipment designer. The trucks. Opel, what does it give me? Don't know if that gives me anything, but I'll do it anyway. And then tanks, this is the Spähpanzer, basic light tank. Which one am I actually going to be building? This one was crap. The medium one was crap as well. Yeah, they're all crap. So I may as well just keep the lines going. And this is a medium tank, so... Oh, here we have medium tank designer, Daimler, production output. Okay. It's not that great, but there might be a bit of defense, bit of breakthrough, but it's mostly just making a lot of them, I guess. Yeah. Medium tank designer, Daimler, does not sound too bad. Although if we're focusing on Benz, then we could use it for both lights and mediums. Or if we focused on, say, Krupp or Henschel, then we would be let's actually, because this is for all, Henschel works for all of them. So let's stick with one and focus our experience there. And then we've got a lot of ships under construction that are never going to be finishing. So let's let the destroyers complete, but I am not keen on building the hippers, because that's going to keep my dockyards busy for a while. So we're canceling these lines. Are we building anything else sensible over here? So not the hippers. We are building 2 Tirpitzes. Two Tirpitzes is not terrible. So let's get those filled out, and then we are going to do the destroyers. So two Tirpitzes. These weren't terrible. So let's let these complete, and we have the choice between production output or surface visibility. Surface visibility for. I mean, it's nice, I guess. Tirpitz being well camouflaged is a thing. So Germania Werft, and this can also be used for submarines. So we have a good, we kind of have a good like raiding fleet sort of designer here. Yeah, it's a raider ship designer, yeah. Or the battle line designer, which just has the production output. What does this give me? Light attack, heavy attack, that's all very nice. Whereas the Germania Werft is more focused on, yeah, they're really just focused on raiders. Okay, I'm going to go with Wilhelmshaven Werft because I would like to have a high seas fleet that can actually dominate. And we can also use that for screens, yes. Germania Werft. Blom und Voss gives me production output. No, we'll focus on one, and we'll do that for now. Okay, I do not wish to build any more of these. Let's stop that production line for now. The rest can stay as is. I probably want to build. I probably want 10 on the BF 109s. This is a pretty decent design, so. And that would be, what have we got? High agility fighter, plus 10 agility. Ooh, nice. Minus 10% range. Probably not a huge problem, but this is also nice. And multi-role aircraft, ground attack, air attack, air defense. Nah, I'm feeling 5 agility, 5 speed, 5 air attack. I like that. Bayerische Flugzeugwerke. It is. And we're doing the same for the... Oh, we can't actually. We could use Dornier or Siemens Schubert. Surface detection, ground attack. Or... ground attack, naval attack, air defense. Let's go with Dornier here. Okay, I'm probably not going to be focusing too heavily on the tactical bombers, although we never know where we're going to get. Anyway, I think with that, I'm going to have to schedule a couple more military factories just to get our production up and running. Let's get like five more scheduled. Where do we have some infrastructure? Württemberg. There we go. Okay, that's a good schedule. And we have some army groups. I haven't looked at the Air Force just yet, but most of it's complete crap. So modernizing the Air Force, modernizing the Navy, and I assume we're going to have to deal with lots of politics because we are sort of the leader of the world at this point. And with vast colonies that we don't directly control, so interesting things might happen. And yeah, I don't think I see any decisions just yet. So that all. Do I want to do anything to Poland? Probably just not yet. I'll ignore that for now. If we want to deal with that at some point, we will see what comes. Anyway, that's it for me today. I'm pretty sure that anybody who is familiar with the Kaiserreich mod and knows what's coming is having a hearty laugh at my naivete here. I don't know what's coming, and that's a very interesting situation because usually if you're playing historical, you know what's coming and when. I have no idea what's going to happen here, so I'm going to have to take it as it comes, and that's a very new experience, and I like it. So thank you for joining, and we will start running potentially into some decisions, I guess, or whatever happens next in the next episode. That's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.